Well, all the drama you could ask for last week in the Game of the Week on the Valley Channel. I put Mountain Crest in that catbird seat. I don't know what a catbird is, but I wish it would get out of my seat. They have at least a share of the region title. They can win it outright tonight against a Roy team, an upstart Roy team that's guaranteed themselves of their first winning season since 1991.
Well, Roy started really hot this season with 4 wins in a row. Then they went to region play and had a few losses. Lost to a tough Logan team on a game here on the Valley Channel. But tonight they got a rebound if they got a chance to get in the playoffs.
And Mountain Crest started 1-2. Everyone wondering, oh my gosh, what's the matter with the Mustangs? Since then, 5 in a row, and Eddie Hall will go over 1,000 yards for rushing for the season tonight. He's 2 yards away.
Well, Eddie Hall has been a fantastic athlete, but this is really a team effort for Mountain Crest. They got to have good passing, and their defense is fantastic too. And they're going to have to play tough against Roy, which loves to spread the offense.
We saw Eddie Hall running the Wildcat last week. We'll see if we see it this week on the Game of the Week that's coming up next.
Introducing the official training bike of the Tour de France, the Proform TDF, the first ever indoor training bike that delivers everything you demand. A 20% incline and a 20% decline, so you'll experience exactly what the road does. Because it's powered by Google Maps, you choose the road and the TDF follows it. Every incline and decline, so no matter what comes at you, you'll be ready. The Proform TDF automatically adjusts resistance, incline and decline. Plus, with a built-in power meter, you'll know your exact output. You decide where to go when the official training bike of the Tour takes you there. And now that you've decided, we're ready to deliver. Order right now and get 0 down and a free upgrade on rush shipping. Call the number on your screen or go online today.
Mountain Crest looking to win the region title night on the Game of the Week. And the Game of the Week is brought to you by Icon. Health and fitness, never give up. Lewiston State Bank, your hometown bank with a new branch at 3rd South and Main in Logan. Wendy's of Cache Valley, quality is our recipe. Cache Valley Hospital, your first choice for healthcare. Discount Tire and Automotive, so much more than a tire store. Salt Lake Express, offering door-to-door service in Cache Valley and beyond. S.E. Needham Jewelers, where Utah gets engaged. The Logo Shop, we logo stuff, all kinds of stuff. On the Valley Channel, Cache Valley's television station. Well, hello everyone and welcome to Lynn R. Miller Field in Hiram, home of the Mountain Crest Mustangs. Mountain Crest, of course, with that thriller of a victory, a last-minute victory last week against Logan High School, coming in with at least a share of the region title tonight. They can win it outright with a win against a Roy team that's, as we mentioned in the opener, guaranteed their first 500 or above season since 1991. I'm Eric Olson, with me Lee Vaughn, and Lee, who would have known? Who would have thought, as we looked at the schedule, that Mountain Crest would be playing Roy, with Roy with a chance to get in the playoffs, and Mountain Crest looking to win the region.
Well, we're used to hearing about Mountain Crest winning. You mentioned 2010 was the last time they had a region crown. But Roy, you're right, in a playoff position potentially with the win. It bodes well for our whole region. One problem with this region, though, doesn't have East in it. East is really, really good, and that's one thing I talked to Coach Wooten about off camera a while ago, is how they have to keep getting better. Last week was great. This game's just as important. They got to keep getting better because there's a lot of good teams out there in 4A.
Speaking of Coach Wooten, I had a chance to talk with him about a little bit about last week, but mostly about tonight's game. Let's take a listen to what he had to say. Well, Coach, everybody's still talking about the game last week against Logan, and your job, one of your jobs as a coach, is to get a bunch of teenage kids to put that one behind and not have a letdown when you can go ahead and win the region outright. How have you done that this week?
Just basically explain that to them. They can share the championship or they can win it outright. And, you know, I mean, these kids have played a lot. The kids that are seniors, they played in very big games, and I think they understand. We're not where we need to be to go real deep in the playoffs yet, and so you know, there's still a pretty good sense of urgency. And then, you know, Roy beat us last year, and Roy literally could be 8-0 when you start looking at their schedule. I mean, they could be ranked, you know, 4 or 5 in the state, but they've just lost some real close games.
Big half last week by Eddie Hall. You moved to that kind of wildcat look, got an extra blocker on the field. Will we see any of that tonight, or are you back to what you started with last week?
It depends on what the game dictates. You know, we'd like to keep it the way it's been all year long with Jamison in there and have Eddie run the ball, but you know, you never know. If you need a spark, or if you're having a hard time, this wind might change things a little bit where we might have to just try to run the ball some. And so, you know, it's a good problem to have, but you know, if he's in there, it's because we feel like we can be more successful that way.
What concerns you about the Royals?
They're just that close to being 8-0, and you know, Freddie's a great coach. He's going to have the game a great scheme. He's going to milk the clock and not allow us to have as many possessions, and so we can't make a lot of mistakes.
All right, good luck tonight, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
That's Coach Wooten, and as I was down on the field before the game, you know, of course, I talked to him a little bit about last week's game against Logan. That's okay for me to do, but they were all ready to, you know, talk about tonight and winning the Region 5 title outright, and how important that would be.
Well, if you're a high school football coach, you got to have a real small rearview mirror and be looking ahead all the time. And this is a big deal for playoffs and playoff seeding, and important to have some momentum going into next week. They'll play their last game next week. This is senior night for Mountain Crest.
Well, really quick, let's do this. Let's take a timeout and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about what playoff implications are tonight for both of these teams. Mountain Crest and Roy on the Game of the Week.
Clark Salt Lake Express and the airport shuttle have merged and become one.
So we still have doorstep service, and it's about the same price as it was before. Our focus now is to try to provide as many opportunities for people who need to have the ability to get to and from Salt Lake when they want. They don't want to wait at the airport for 2 hours. They also don't want to be driving around the valley when they get here.
And you bring us to a location that leaves on time.
We'll have another vehicle take you here to save time comfortably, and that main vehicle goes 12 times a day on schedule, both leaving the valley and coming back.
Now with print, online, and mobile offerings, the Herald Journal gives you easy access to the news that matters to you.
The paper's here!
We're delivering quality local news to more readers than ever, in more ways than ever. Subscribe today. The Herald Journal, empowering the community.
Back at Lynn R. Miller Field on the campus of Mountain Crest High School, a couple of minutes away from kickoff as captains of both teams getting ready to head out onto the field. It is senior night, and there's a passel of Mountain Crest seniors right there. Troy Netzley, number 7, Zach Kimball, number 11, Putu Tau, Fiamafili Laulu Putu Tau, number 6, and of course Eddie Hall, number 1. That's the long and the short of it right there, 6 and 1. And they were a deadly combination last week against Logan on that final drive, the game-winning drive. 3rd and long twice. Eddie Hall finds Putu Tau, just nails on some 3rd and long, and Putu Tau comes up with a catch to keep drives alive, and then the Mustangs end up scoring with under a minute left in that ball game to win it. But you know, tonight there's some different playoff implications. We talked about how Mountain Crest can clinch the region title outright. It's their 13th title, region title, and it's their first since 2010. But if you look at the playoff scenarios, if Mountain Crest and Skyview both win, we're going to talk about Skyview a little bit. If Mountain Crest wins tonight, if Skyview wins against Bonneville, Skyview's in. Skyview's in. This is the 4th seed out of the region. Now, if Mountain Crest wins and Skyview loses, now we have a 3-way tie between Roy, Bonneville, and Skyview. Whether they go to coin flip on that or play in or something.
For second, 3rd, and 4th.
Well, no, for 4th place, for that last playoff spot. Really, 1, 2, and 3, you've got Mountain Crest will be number 1. Box Elder and Logan are playing for 2 and 3 tonight.
Right.
Or if Roy and Skyview
That's
win,
probably a pretty good game.
yeah, I'm sure that'll be a good one. If Roy and Skyview win, and then we got a two-way tie between Roy and Skyview. And then if Roy wins tonight here and Bonneville wins
Stop.
against Skyview, then Roy is in.
You're making my head hurt.
So Roy has to win tonight. If Roy wins tonight, you know, they need a little help from Bonneville, but if Roy at least has a chance to make the playoffs. And it is senior night here at Mountain Crest, the final home game. They play at Northridge Wednesday night in the final game of the season. And of course, we have the East Logan game next Wednesday.
I'm really looking forward to that Logan East game next week. It'll be fantastic. Both those teams are really playing well. East, it'll be like the immovable object and the whatever other cliche thing that is, because Logan scores a lot of points. East has given up 39 points all season long.
Well, and we saw that defense that Mountain Crest threw at Logan last week. Logan had kind of figured it out toward the end of that ball game, and you know, you don't know that that'll work twice against a Mike Favero-led team.
No.
But with East, they're big, they're fast,
They're mean.
they probably are the fourth best football team in the state of Utah after Utah State, BYU, and Utah.
They are ranked second overall, though.
Actually,
behind,
Jordan's still number
Jordan,
one.
that's
Now,
correct.
Syracuse would have something to say about that, being 6-0, and they're another tough defensive team, but those are 5A teams. But yeah, East is a monster. We'll see them next week.
I'm looking forward to it.
But right now, we hope to have a good one on tap here. A couple of weeks ago, we had Logan against Roy, and that one went right down to literally the final play. Kick goes out of the end zone, and Roy will start on their own 20-yard line, and they will use a couple of different quarterbacks. They'll use Garrett Bowman and Tyler Skidmore.
Yep.
Let's see who they start with tonight. It looks like it's going to be Skidmore, and that's what they did last time we saw him. Skidmore first. Didn't get a chance to talk to Coach Fernandez before the game. He declined the interview. He was ready to coach. He didn't want to
Busy.
And Roy comes out with 4 wide receivers. Trips to the bottom of your screen and 1 in the backfield. It's Linehan. Mountain Crest bringing 5. Skidmore down the middle against Pututau as he looked for LaRose, and it's incomplete. Pututau did an outstanding job last week against the all-time leading receiver in Logan High history. He held Jesse Brady, I believe, to just 1 catch. And as good as Brady is, Pututau, a great athlete and 6'6" and long arms, and can run. You can do a lot of things with a guy with that sort of physical gifts. Here's the pitch out to Grimes, and Grimes is upended after a gain of 1. You heard Coach Wooten, or if you didn't, Coach Wooten mentioned that he thought that Roy would probably try to grind it out, shorten the game, hang on to the ball, and just make this one a grinder. And of course, Roy comes out on the first play and goes downfield, and that last play more what we expected to see from the Royals in this one. Last week, Mountain Crest playing that kind of amoeba defense, all linebackers and defensive linemen, and defensive backs. 1 defensive lineman on the field for Mountain Crest right now, and he's lined up right over the nose. Big number 51, Kyle Christiansen. Mountain Crest is offsides, and so Roy goes from 3rd and 9 to 3rd and 4. Mountain Crest last week, 12 penalties, Lee, 100 yards worth.
Well, penalties will take you out of any ball game. Penalties and turnovers, you got to avoid those, especially going into the playoffs.
Huerta hits Skidmore just as he throws, and it's incomplete, 4th and 4.
Alex Huerta unblocked from the left side of the defensive line.
And that's what that defense does. You have blocking rules as a as an offensive lineman, well, those blocking rules are tough to incorporate when you don't know who's coming and where they're coming from. Patton on the kick. Hall and Pututau back to receive. Patton's kick high, and there's a wind blowing here, and that one just dies and bounces backward, and finally LaRose, nope. Cody Hobbs at about the 36-yard line says that's enough and bats it back the other way. But Mountain Crest with a short field on their first possession. But a pretty good wind blowing out of the southwest down there tonight, Lee.
Yeah, it's a pretty stiff wind, and that's certainly going to play into the offensive strategies of both these teams and where they want to be going. And it makes it, as you just saw from that punt, makes it really difficult to kick that ball going the opposite direction.
Ladd goes in motion. He's going down the seam. Webb's going to keep. Webb picks up a yard. One thing Webb had a little bit of trouble with last week was he held the ball a little bit too long. Logan did a good job of covering receivers downfield, and Webb would hold and hold and hold, and finally, you know, his protection would break down. He took a couple of sacks, and that time he got out of the pocket, his read wasn't there, and he took off.
Well, Coach Wooten made that change last week and brought Eddie over to the quarterback, and he's really a dual threat quarterback.
Here is Eddie Hall. He's now over 1,000 yards for the season with that run. He gets piled up, but not until he gains almost 5.
Just make a manageable 3rd and 5 for the Mustangs, deep in Roy territory to start this first half.
And you'd imagine it's probably 4 down territory. They've got the wind behind them if they wanted to try a field goal, but Mountain Crest hasn't bothered with field goals much this year. They haven't bothered with field goals much ever in recent history.
Last time they had a meaningful field goal was in a state championship about 6 years ago.
1987. Hall picks up the yardage. He's going to pick up 6.
Wow, that's great seal block. I think that was number 51, Kyle Christiansen. He's a load, and he paves the way, among others, for Mountain Crest.
That's one thing they've done very well this year is be able to seal the edge, and they did that against Logan, and nobody's been able to do that against Logan's fast defense. They ran that Wildcat to get an extra blocker on the field.
I don't know if you can see it or not there. Look at Christiansen, among others, setting a great block, and the blocking downfield as well. Number 75, Brendan Freston, senior.
Now the PAT is good. And the Mustangs take the early 7-0 lead. 9:17 to play in the first period from Hiram. Set to kick off as the Mustangs go 36 yards to open the game on their first possession after Roy went 3 and out and the punt got blown back in that wind. This went into the end zone, and again Roy will start at their own 20-yard line, now trailing 7-0. Here's a look at that touchdown, and again, watch how they get everybody sealed.
Oh, and Eddie Hall is so patient, just waits for the blocking to set up, and then sees that seam and hits it. He's got great burst speed.
Now the edge player, I don't know if that was the defensive end. He came upfield way too hard and opened that hole. But we'll have to see. That may have been the linebacker coming up to try to fill. Skidmore looking to throw back the other way. That one's going to be picked. And then fumbled, and Roy gets it right back. Looks like Linehan fell on it after it was picked off by the one of the Mustangs.
That is a lucky break for the Royals. But Skidmore in the backfield throws that ball. He throws it way up in the air, and the wind just holds it up. That's right. That's a good call. The ball comes out before his knees down, and that's 2 turnovers back to back. It's like Beehive basketball.
Looked like that was Justin Weaver, or excuse me.
I didn't see the number on that.
It might have been Watterson that came up with it. They go downfield again. And this time they test Caden Lindley, and it's going to be second down because they got the ball back after that interception and the fumble. So, hey, you know, Roy gained a yard and got first down. Niederhauser is the left corner. You can see his helmet there. He's to the bottom of your screen. He played a good game last week. Very big physical corner. He'll get a few flags thrown against him, but he'll also shut down receivers. 4 guys coming. Christiansen chases Skidmore out of, no, that's Bowman out of the pocket. Bowman unloads. It's 3rd and 10.
That's one thing that Roy has really done a lot this year is use 2 quarterbacks interchangeably almost. In the Logan game we did here on the Valley Channel a few weeks ago, they almost had the same amount of attempts. I think it was 21-17.
Skidmore played well, and it was Bowman down the stretch, and Bowman got into a groove. Now one of them, number 6, Tyler Skidmore, is just a sophomore, while Bowman a senior.
Their last home game next week, senior night against Morgan. A different level of opponent from Morgan to Northridge, I think.
They're throwing a little screen, and he just puts it over Linehan's head. Linehan had a blocker out in front of him, so that he had something going on as Tim Jenkins was leading the way, but he couldn't get to that one, and Roy will have to punt again.
Just didn't go so well the first time. They got to hope for a little better punt. Put that a little lower, not so far up into the wind.
7 plays for Roy, 6 of them pass plays.
Braxton Patton, the punter.
Patton kicks this one a little lower and gets better result. Keep it out of that wind, and it rolls down, finally down at about the 42-yard line, and that's where Mountain Crest will take over, leading 7-0 with 8:37 to play here in the first period. Cannot believe that we're down to the second to last week of the regular season.
It feels like it outside. It's winter.
Next week, the Wednesday night game because of UEA, and then the playoffs. We'll have at least a couple of the rounds of the playoffs for you. Follow those playoffs as long as we are able to due to rights agreements and everything else. Here's the pitch. This to Ferguson. Ferguson's got the edge. Ferguson lowers his shoulder as he crosses into Royals territory. Looks like a pickup of 9 for Ferguson.
I think Coach Wooten's seen something there, and that's the play they scored on with Eddie Hall in the backfield. Now Ferguson takes that same pitch. Same play.
Actually, it ends up being 11 yards and a first down for Ferguson and the Mustangs. Ferguson played a whale of a ball game last week. Defensively, he was a stud. Look out, Eddie Hall to the edge. Hall is knocked out of bounds, shy of the end zone.
All right, number 22, Austin Terry for Roy, had the angle. That's the only thing that saves another 6 for Mountain Crest.
42 yards.
Look at his nifty feet here as he's making it through a lot of traffic. Sees that space again and turns on the jets. Changes hands with the ball, which you should do. Tucks it away, and he's just about gone.
Run down by Austin Terry, like you mentioned. On the scoreboard, they said that play started at the 53-yard line. Webb gives it to Ferguson, and he steps in for the touchdown.
Hey, wait a minute. Are we in Canada?
Ferguson, 17 yards on 2 carries and a touchdown. The Mustangs getting it done on the ground thus far.
Or just great blocking, wide holes in both of the running backs, Ferguson and Hall. Very patient, looking for the hole and then hitting it.
Barr's PAT is up and good, and with 8:13 to play, Mountain Crest strikes again. 14-0 for the Mustangs.
Hi, I'm Randy Anderson, owner of Master Mechanic in Providence. Every repair we do at Master Mechanic comes with our peace of mind guarantee, meaning all repairs are guaranteed for 3 years or 36,000 miles. That's triple the industry standard. Summer travel time is here. Before you hit the road, stop by and have our ASE certified technicians inspect your vehicle. Prevent vacation breakdowns with our pre-trip inspection. Master Mechanic in Providence, taking the worry out of summer travel. I guarantee it.
Well, we talked in the pregame about motivation and a letdown after that Logan game. I'll tell you all the motivation that Mountain Crest needs. They lost to Roy down at Roy last year. Talking to a few people around this program this week, a lot of guys still remember that.
Well, when you got so many seniors for senior night, they have their long memories.
They had a little something. They felt like we got a little something for the Royals after last year. Here's the play that set up the touchdown. And, of course, it's Eddie Hall. He's got 3 carries, 78 yards, and a score.
That's a pretty good average. Almost had a score in this play. It wasn't for Terry chasing down. Angles are everything.
Now Roy kind of going big, getting 2 tight ends, handing it off to Grimes, and Grimes loses a yard. Mountain Crest kind of getting out of that amoeba type defense.
Number 19, Nick Taylor, sticks his arm out and breaks that play up in the backfield.
When Roy came out, brought everybody in tight. Mountain Crest just kind of played that more straight up. But they've got Huerta at the end. They've got Christiansen at the nose.
Christiansen is a load, and he is just a junior. Didn't see a flag, but they're walking Roy back. Could have been holding. We're going to say it was.
Yeah, that takes him back 10 yards, but only first down again. So Bowman comes on the field. Runs into the huddle. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do.
There's no sand to draw the play in.
Taylor's playing D end on the other side. And again, everybody in a stand-up. They're going to run that little screen inside. They were looking at David Hadley, and Hadley is shut down.
Where Pututau sniffed that out.
Hadley loses 4.
Bowman almost dropped in the end zone. What do they call this defense? They call it the cowboy defense up on the hill.
Oh, we got to think of a better name for that than that.
Well, Cowboys and Mustangs, they go to
Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, easy. Just because they're terrible, don't be making fun of them.
A cool name like Broncos or something.
They're not doing so well either.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Try the dive. Maybe a gain of a yard.
Nothing doing as number 23, Gage Ferguson, is there again. You mentioned he had a big game last week on defense. That was a good hit, filling up that hole.
3rd and a long way after the penalty and then the loss on the ensuing play. It's 3rd about 25. You're back at your own 7-yard line. The playbook gets pretty thin.
Not a lot of 23-yard pickup plays.
Not from this spot. Risk reward is not how you want it. Here's LaRose on the end around. LaRose upended after a gain of about 4.
Zach Kimball on the end. LaRose had a head of steam, but he just couldn't turn that corner, and Kimball shuts him down.
5. Let's see.
Roy's only run, what, 6 plays?
Well, Roy has 1 yard of total offense.
How many plays?
10.
Almost went over his head. Uh-oh.
He did a good job just to get that one kicked away, but again, Mountain Crest will be looking at a short field, 33-yard line. Just about everything that can go wrong has gone wrong for the Royals here. Not the start that they wanted. Finding it hard to move the ball against the Mountain Crest defense. As Mountain Crest played this kind of defense last week against Logan, and they go back to it again tonight. This time, though, they add a true nose guard. Webb under center, and Ferguson's the running back. Pututau in motion. He gives in underneath to Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall, so tough to bring down, and a flag looks like it'll be called against the Mustangs. Holding on Mountain Crest, it'll back them up.
That's going to back him to about the 41-yard line. Let's see if we can see it. I think it happens towards the end of the play here. There it is right there. 2-point takedown. Number 78, Jaden Mon. That makes it pretty easy to call that.
When it's out there all on its own.
Or they threw the flag. They marked that a lot deeper. They threw it at about the 31, I thought.
No, it looked
was
like
it 36?
It looked like it might have been, no, it looked like it was about the 30, the 34 or 35-yard line, so. It's a spot foul. Pitch to Hall. Again, they try the right side of that Roy defense, and again, Hall tough to bring down. Hall picks up the penalty yardage, so a 10-yard gain by Hall.
Back to the original line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10. Looks like one of his blockers is in his way, so he throws him out of the way with his right hand. So we can see it here towards the end of the play. Eddie Hall is really slippery right here. Get out of my way.
I think Hall sweats oil because they just can't bring him down. Nobody can seem to get a hold of him. Here he goes again.
Oh, look out! My. Ankle breaker.
Eddie Hall is over 100 yards. There's 4:20 to play in the first quarter with that 32-yard jump.
Wow, Cameron Shaw just had his ankles broken. He's a man all alone out there, and Eddie Hall running full speed at you.
120 yards on 5 carries here in this first quarter. And they just cannot contain Eddie Hall. 3 touchdowns, or 2 touchdowns rushing, 5 carries, 120 yards for numero uno, Eddie Hall.
Hi, I'm Wendy. Yep, that one. And I'm proud to introduce Dave's Hot and Juicy Cheeseburgers. They're all new and our best yet, with thicker, hotter, juicier beef, melty cheese, and a warm butter toasted bun. So come on in. You know when it's
real. Mountain Crest High School, it's been the Eddie Hall show here in the first period. 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns. Eddie Hall has 120 yards rushing on 5 carries. Touchdown runs of 31 and 32, and then a 42-yarder in between.
Wow. Great blocking by the offensive line of Mountain Crest.
This one's going to roll into the end zone. That one looked like it might be returnable, but rolls past LaRose. Roy offense will be in a familiar spot. They're on 20.
The starting position looks a lot like deja vu all over again.
Hey, Yogi. Now, Roy started the season on fire, but they've lost 3 of their last 4. They lost a tough one against Logan. And you'll remember in that game, Logan turned the ball over 5 times.
They've only defeated Bonneville in the region and lost to Box Elder and Skyview last week on a field goal.
Right up the middle, and no gain for Weaver. Of course, Logan is playing at Box Elder tonight. Skyview.
I don't know if they're hosting Bonneville or not. I don't think
Bonneville?
they are.
I believe they're at Bonneville.
Yeah, I think they're away.
Skidmore back in, overthrows Weaver. Would have been a short gain, but it would have been a gain. Mountain Crest is playing lights out defensively.
Zach Kimball has a shot at picking that ball off. Just can't quite get to it.
Bonneville is up at Skyview.
At Skyview. Kind of important game for the Bobcats as well.
Well, they have to win if they want any shot. If they win, if Skyview wins and Mountain Crest wins, then Skyview's in. All 3 Valley schools make the playoffs.
Fantastic.
Logan's playing for a home playoff game. If they beat Box Elder, they'll play at home.
It's kind of a big deal having home in the first round.
It really is. Skidmore steps up. Pick!
I don't think Gage Whitaker was going to fumble it. We saw what happened the last time somebody picked one off from Mountain Crest and he tucked that thing away.
Is that Whitaker or Watterson? You got 2 32s, and I think it's Watterson.
It's probably Watterson.
Yeah, it's Nick Watterson.
I hate when they have 2 32s on the roster.
Yeah, he fumbled the last one he picked off. That one he keeps, and there's Mountain Crest again, deep in Roy territory. 2 turnovers for the Royals. There's 3:39 to play in the first period. Mountain Crest leads 21-0. 3 rushing touchdowns.
I haven't had to turn my head to look at the other end of the field tonight, so that's nice.
Is that a little inside handoff? Is that Ferguson?
Looks like it.
He's become a bigger and bigger part of this offense. Good size, good speed. And a nice changeup to Eddie Hall.
Well, he's a junior, so they're getting great work out of him now and preparing for next year's as well. Mountain Crest does a great job of not rebuilding, just reloading.
Webb, pitch it to Hall. Hall hurdles over a would-be tackler, stops and goes, and held to a very pedestrian. Well, no gain. No gain for Eddie Hall. Stop the presses.
That'll bring his average down to what, 30?
20 yards a carry for Eddie Hall.
Oh, Roy's starting to figure this play out.
Something like that.
And the blocking kind of breaks down.
Jamison Webb had Ferguson down the seam wide open, and Webb overthrew him on 3rd down and 7. First pass of the ball game for the Mustangs, and they're going to try the field goal.
Well, you got the wind at your back, and playoffs are coming up. You got to get this field goal kicker a little work. You might need it. I do believe that's how they beat Highland a few years ago in the state championship.
Weston Casey's kick is good. Mountain Crest extends their lead to 24-0 with 2:24 play in the first period. Casey getting set to kick off. Mountain Crest now 24-0 after the turnover. And again, this kick out of the end zone. And again, Roy starting at their own 20.
They're singing that same song every possession for Roy, aren't they?
Out of the end zone, start at the 20. Out of the end zone, start at the 20. Roy would just like to get a first down. They have not had one yet. Mountain Crest, 1 of 2 on third downs because they're not getting into third down position.
They don't have a lot of third down opportunities, you're right.
Now more of a straight up defense for Mountain Crest. Skidmore looking at the end pattern. This one just about picked. They jump in that pattern right there. Lindley is all over it.
When Ferguson is driving from that side unblocked and a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I didn't see which quarterback that was, Bowman or Skidmore.
It's Skidmore. Haven't seen Nate Jones. He comes in right now. We saw him.
They threw at him once
against Logan. He made some big plays in that game. He's a good size receiver. We don't have height and weight listed for him, but he looks like he's one of those 6-footers. Here's the give. There was a hole there, but not for very long as Grimes, he loses a yard. There, a hole had opened up just for a second. And this Mountain Crest defense, Lee, we saw him earlier in the season. And the last 2 weeks, it looks like a completely different team.
A little more porous earlier in the season, and now they've really filled those holes, and they're playing great team defense.
They get a lot of orange jerseys to the ball. Very aggressive, and you've seen Roy come out and try to throw a couple of screens and some misdirection type of stuff to try to use that aggressive nature against the Mustangs defense, but it hasn't worked. Here's a reverse, and this one will work. LaRose probably should have stayed outside. LaRose had blocking, and he cuts it back inside. If he stays outside, he might pick up the first down. He picked up 6, but I think he made the wrong decision, Lee. It's easy for us to say from way up here, but he had Green Acres and he had blockers.
Yeah, it's easy to see all the blockers from up here in the press box, but you're right. Right about here, he makes that decision and cuts back into the teeth of the Mountain Crest defense.
Well, Skidmore had kind of come off his block a little bit, and that's probably what made the decision for LaRose. As you look at it again, you can maybe see what he was thinking there. Patton. The ball kicks back inside the Mountain Crest 40 to about the 37.
When the Roy players try and shove Eddie Hall into the ball to make him touch it. They forgot whose feet they were trying to push around.
I'm surprised anyone was even able to touch him. He's like that character on X-Men that just disappears and appears next to you.
Yeah, Nightcrawler.
Yeah. Goes into the hole, he's gone, and next thing you know, there he is in the end zone.
Got his tail removed for high school, though. It freaked out the cheerleaders.
Ferguson motions out of the backfield. They're going to throw to Pututau. Pututau drops it.
Boy, and he knew he had a lot of room there, and he's frustrated and claps his hands as he knows he missed an opportunity. And they really haven't gone to Pututau very much with a great running game of Eddie Hall. Pututau being a receiver, not getting as much work as he had in the past.
10 rushes, 2 passes for Mountain Crest. Mountain Crest run 12 plays, Lee. They have 142 yards to show for it.
24 points.
And 24 points. They've scored on every possession. 4 possessions, 4 scores. 38 seconds to play in the quarter. Here's the pitch to Ferguson. Ferguson cuts back, stays on his feet, picks up about 6.
Boy, until that play, that was 2 points a play. That's pretty good.
Clock running down on the first period. All Mustangs here at Lynn R. Miller Field, S.E. Needham Jewelers, where Utah gets engaged. The Mustangs will run another play before the end of the quarter. It's 3rd down and 4 at Roy's offsides. Somebody moved for Mountain Crest? Yes, they did, says the white hat. So now it'll be 3rd down and 9. We can hear the Mountain Crest coaches down the way. But wait, how'd they call that on us?
I didn't see anybody from Mountain Crest jump. We're way up here, but
unless the center, hitched the ball a little bit.
Illegal snap.
3 penalties, 20 yards worth on Mountain Crest. That's the end of the first period. All Mountain Crest here on senior night in Hiram.
Built for living, visionary homes.
On 3rd and 9, they throw a swing pass out to Eddie Hall. He picks up 10 yards. First completion of the game where Jamison Webb and Eddie Hall moves the chains. Here's a look. They looked like they had him wrapped up, but like every other time Eddie Hall touches the ball, he gets another 5 yards before they actually put him on the ground.
Just a real long handoff.
Hall looked like he didn't get that one clean, but again, 5 yards before they finally bring him down.
Well, they got to blow that whistle a little bit earlier, Roy's, and they're just tugging and jerking, trying to get that ball loose.
Eddie Hall, the ball carrier. Coming on the defense goes to Nick Jones.
Hall, not a big player. He's maybe 5'9". Maybe. However much he weighs, 80% of it's below the waist. Thick, strong legs. Picks up a yard, and there's a flag on the play. Let's see what the call is. That looks like they're going to back Mountain Crest up.
You mentioned penalties earlier, and that's is that their 4th penalty tonight? 3rd?
That'll be number 4. Illegal motion, so it's a 5-yard penalty. Roy, 1 penalty for 10 yards, but it came deep in their own territory, backed them up. Keep an eye on Putu Tau in the slot to the top of your screen. Webb. Putu Tau left early. Told you to keep an eye on him. The center. Webb goes, waiting for the ball. Everybody went. And then the center, then it was just a hair late with the ball.
The center's got to go first, or everybody else is offside.
He's always right. The center is always right. If you're going to play offensive lineman, play the center. Always right. 30 yards worth of penalties now on Mountain Crest.
2nd down and 15. That's just one more opportunity for Eddie Hall to pick up more yardage, I think.
Sure, see if he can get to 200 before the half.
Yeah.
He's got 125 yards rushing on 5 carries. And they fake the give to Hall. It gets Webb time. There we go to Putu Tau. Putu Tau waits for it. It drops right into his hands, and it's a 55-yard touchdown.
Boy, Cameron Shaw gets fried again for Roy. Such a huge height advantage for Putu Tau. It's probably like 7 or 8 inches. That's a great play fake. And, you know, of course, the Roy defense bites on Eddie Hall with the ball.
I mean, this falls right in there too.
Yeah, there's just nothing that Shaw can do really with Putu Tau having 7-inch height advantage. 12 if you count the afro, right?
PAT is good. 10:09 to play in the first half, and the route is on in Hiram.
S.E. Needham Jewelers is Northern Utah's largest volume diamond importer. My name is Gene Needham, and I travel personally to the World's Diamond Cutting Center, Antwerp, Belgium. There I hand select each diamond based on the most favorable combinations of cut, color, and clarity. This makes all of our diamonds unique and special and assures that our customers get the best selection and value. These advantages enable us to consistently beat 50 to 70% off sales or any so-called wholesale deals. Come see us, S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Mountain Crest doing everything right, Lee, in this ball game. They have scored on every possession.
Well, the one thing they've got to clean up is penalties. 30 yards worth of penalties in a quarter in just a few minutes is not good.
Hadn't seemed to hurt them.
No. I'm just saying. Got the playoffs coming. Clean it up.
Roy has not had the answer for the Mustangs here in this first half. And they don't kick this one into the wind. And Roy will start on their own 24-yard line instead of the 20.
Woohoo! That's a change of scenery.
Looked like that player might have had enough time to pick that up and run a little bit with it. But sometimes those up guys, you know, they don't get a chance to run those much, and they don't want to mess it up. Bowman in at quarterback for the Royals. One of 3, and Roy overall 1 of 7 through the air. Bowman, down he goes. He stood in there, and finally ran out of time, and he's sacked. First one there was Bohm.
Huerta comes in, number 12.
You are right. First one there was Huerta.
And then number 35, Colby Wengreen.
And Bohm was there because he got blocked up back there.
Either way, that's a lot of orange jerseys piling on Bowman.
There's the quick hitter, Linehan. A yard.
Well,
I mean, even that quick hitter's not picking up anything.
Fernandez is going to have to dig deep into his bag of tricks to pick up any yards against this Mountain Crest defense. Now, they have the wind at their backs, which helps a lot, and they should look to go downfield a little bit because Mountain Crest is playing tight in their defensive backfield.
0 for 3 on third down. Skidmore with 2 interceptions. Bowman, the quarterback now. He's 1 of 3 for -4 yards. -6 yards for Roy so far in this game. Bowman looks back the other way, overthrows everybody. He threw something outside, looking like he's looking at a wheel route. And his receivers were coming inside. 4th down.
Pututau and Hall back to receive the punt. Niederhauser has a shot at picking that ball off the last play.
Patton standing at the 2-yard line. And with the wind, those guys are way back. Patton gets it off, and it's high and short.
Well, Patton does a good job just getting that ball off. Mountain Crest has the block on, and he's had real trouble with the snap on punts tonight. They've been over his head and off to the side, and he's doing a great job just getting punts away.
About the 48-yard line of Mountain Crest, and that's where the Mustangs take over with a 31-0 lead. 8:29 to play in the first half. And we're going to get a running clock in the second half, Lee.
I think we might.
Might get it in the first. It's 35 in the first.
They can't do it in the first.
No?
No, I think they do it only in the second.
It's wishful thinking.
35-point lead. I think we've had the situation this year earlier, and they did not run the clock.
An official timeout. Let's see what they're doing. They're waiting to get those yard markers set.
Yeah.
Webb sends Pututau in motion. Webb's going to keep this one.
Ooh. He just about loses that ball. It's number 31, Grady Hansen, because it puts his hat right on it.
No gain for Webb.
Look at the replay here as Webb steps into the pocket. Number 31 comes up and drops his hammer right on that ball, and Webb does a great job hanging on to it. 2 hands. 2 hands, son, 2 hands.
2nd and 10. Webb, nobody in the backfield with him. Everybody running a sit-down pattern. He goes to Blad. Blad has blocking out in front of him. He gets down to the 30-yard line, a pickup of 21.
Well, you're right. Everybody runs those routes and just sits down right where they are. Webb's got 4 choices across the board. Blad, Pututau, Hall, and another Mustang.
Webb rolling near side. He's in trouble. Gets rid of it. Out of bounds. 2nd down.
He does a good job getting rid of that ball. He's going to take the sack and give up yardage.
Webb 3 of 6, 86 yards and a touchdown. Ball at the 31-yard line of Roy. Mountain Crest has scored on every possession. 4 touchdowns and a field goal. Pressure off the edge. Webb goes down.
Well, they just sent too many defenders into the backfield. There's a 3-man blitz, and Eddie Hall tries to pick up 1 and can't block 3.
8-yard loss. Roy with the first sack of the ball game. Mountain Crest, the field goal not really an option here, Lee, as you're kicking into the wind.
Not to mention be a 56-yard field goal from here.
Smith in motion. Webb being pursued. Now he's got to run it. Webb picks up the lost yardage on the sack, and then maybe a little more. Let's see. No, they're going to say he's out of bounds right there at that marker. It's an 8-yard run for Webb. You see what Mountain Crest will do. I imagine they'll just go for it.
They're kind of in this in-between or state, and you're right, they should just go for it, even though it's 4th and 10.
The field goal, at this point, you're looking at about a 48-yarder into that win, so that's no way. Webb through the middle to Pututau, just past the sticks and a 1st down on 4th down and 10. It's a pickup of 12. Pututau found the dead zone, and it's a 1st down for Mountain Crest.
That's a nice toss by Webb as well. He throws it low, and right where Pututau is headed towards, nobody's going to catch it but Pututau.
Pitch to Hall. Hall cuts it back inside. Hit from the backside, but he still just keeps churning forward.
Still going to get a 6-yard pickup.
Just about. From where they're spotting it, that's what it is. 131 yards on 8 carries, 2 touchdowns for Eddie Hall. The first quarter was the Eddie Hall show.
Well, every week we do pick a player of the game to receive an Angie's coupon to clean the sink, or the locals eat, and I think
we already owe him one for last week.
We do?
Yeah. Almost 200 yards rushing. We didn't get a chance to talk to him. Oh, he gives the dead leg, tries to get outside. They're going to call Smith for holding. Yeah. It's going to be a 7-yard gain, but it's going to be negated by the call out there against Smith.
Well, just got to hold that block for so long as Eddie Hall's juking and jiving in the backfield.
Look near the top of your screen right there. Well, the official's right there.
Yeah, so. He is, but still look like a bad call from up here. But you're right, he's right there, and we're not.
He can see the hands better than we can, and the rain starts to fall here in Hiram. 10-yard penalty. It's 2nd and 12.